I remember reading to my nieces when they were little, before they'd go to bed. And when I would babysit them, my sister would always tell me what books to read them, and like a good brother, I just was obedient to my sister. But I would try and teach them as I was reading, following the text with my finger, going over words, pointing out to the images when they relate to the text, trying to go slowly to teach them little by little, and all in the hopes that maybe they would pick up a few words, maybe they could learn to distinguish between different objects, maybe even they could learn a little grammar. Just think what it would be like for a saint to teach you, to go little by little, pointing out the details of the Christian life, to show you the example of what it means to follow Christ, all the while hoping that you would learn not just words, but about the Word. Not just that we would learn to distinguish objects, but that we would be able to differentiate between good and bad. And not just learning a little grammar, but also learning the grammar of divine salvation. And isn't that what the Rosary does? When we pray the Rosary, it's as if we are a student of the school of Nazareth, being taught by the one who is the expert in the course material, by the Virgin Mary herself. And she's the expert because she experienced all of these things in her own life. She journeyed with Christ, raising him in Nazareth, experiencing the miracle at Cana, meeting him on the way to Calvary, and rejoicing when she encountered the risen Christ. It's as if all of this experience then becomes Mary's textbook, and she reads to us. She reads to us from the book of her son's life, teaching us that story, teaching us the gospel. And as we learn for us, she doesn't only teach us who he is, but she teaches us who we are as well. You see, it could be said that each of the mysteries of the Rosary, carefully meditated, could be a light for our soul, a light on the mystery of man. Because in revealing Christ to us, we understand ourselves more deeply. There's that beautiful line from Vatican II, Christ fully reveals man to himself and makes clear his supreme calling. When the Rosary is prayed with faith, we come into real contact with the mysteries of Christ. For when we meditate on the mysteries in his life, we not only reflect on and think about what happened in those moments, those beautiful mysteries, but the very power of those mysteries comes alive within us. And the soul, little by little, and often imperceptibly, draws and absorbs the virtues that are contained in those mysteries. And it's wonderfully enkindled with a longing to follow Christ and to imitate him, to be conformed to him. Therein lies the power of the Rosary. That is the power of the Rosary. That not only does the Rosary instruct us intellectually, but it also shapes and forms our lives into an imitation of Christ. The humility of his incarnation shapes our humility. The zeal of his preaching shapes our zeal. The charity and obedience of his death shapes our charity and obedience. And the new life and holiness of the resurrection brings us a new life of holiness. And from that point of having been transformed interiorly, we are then impelled to action. We are impelled to become instruments of healing, to become advocates of peace, and to become witnesses of radical transformation in the world. In a very real way, when we pray the Rosary, the graces of Christ's life transform us, and they make us like Christ so that we may both imitate what they contain and obtain what they promise. And on this great feast of the Assumption, when we turn to Mary and we ask her intercession in so many ways, may she teach us and guide us to be conformed to Christ, her Son, so that in turn we may become witnesses in the world, working in real ways for healing, peace, and radical transformation.